Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on the youngest Grandmaster versus the youngest Master. Let me qualify that title. It was held in St. Louis in the United States, another event organized by Rex Sinkfield. It was the match of the Millennials. There was an under 17 section and an under 14 section, and it was the USA versus the rest of the world. The USA got a spanking, the rest of the world won 31.5 versus 17.5, and in the under 14 section there was a game between Awonder Liang, the youngest Grandmaster at that time. It was played on the 28th of July 2017, and Awonder Liang became Grandmaster at the age of 14 at the end of May 2017. He played Praggnanandhaa Rameshbabu, the youngest international master of all time. And he's still trying to become the youngest Grandmaster of all time, and he has till March 2018 to do it. Awonder Liang was white, he's the current US junior champion, and as I said, when the game was played he was also the youngest current Grandmaster, 14 years old. He played e4 and Praggnanandhaa played e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, we are in a Rio Lopez, a Spanish opening. Bishop a4, knight f6, Awonder Liang castled. What a great first name, by the way, Awonder, for a chess prodigy. b5 from Praggnanandhaa, bishop b3, bishop b7, d3, bishop e7, rook e1, Praggnanandhaa castled, knight bd2, d6, c3, and here Praggnanandhaa plays queen d7. I took his comments on this game from the magazine New in Chess, where Praggnanandhaa analyzes the game, and he writes here that he had seen this idea of queen d7 in the Caruana Carlsen game from the 2015 Sinkfield Cup, also in St. Louis. Here Liang played d4, and Praggnanandhaa writes that knight f1 is another option to bring that knight to g3. But d4 was the choice of Awonder Liang. Praggnanandhaa took, c takes, knight b4, queen e2, and c5. a3 kicking the knight, and knight went back to c6. Praggnanandhaa writes his original idea was to play c4 instead, but then a takes b4, c takes b3, and d5, and he says black's pieces are very badly placed and he will be a pawn down. That pawn on b3 will drop. So he played knight c6 instead. d5 from Liang, kicking the knight again, knight e5, and now Praggnanandhaa says that after knight takes e5, d takes e5, the position should be equal, since he can put a bishop or knight on the d6 square. But Awonder Liang did not take on e5, he played bishop c2. Knight g6, knight f1, and knight g4. Praggnanandhaa writes the idea is to play the bishop to f6 and then the knight 4 to e5. That is his plan. Awonder Liang kicks the knight, knight went to e5, and now he plays knight 3 h2, which is a very instructive move. In the live broadcast, the Grandmasters Ramirez and Ashley explained this. This is the idea of the superfluous knight. The black knights are stepping on each other's toes, so white wants to maintain that situation. He does not want to take on e5, because then black solves his problem of those two knights stepping on each other's toes. That's why he played knight h2. Bishop f6 from Praggnanandhaa, knight e3, bishop went to g5, bit mysterious, the bishop going to f6 and on the next move to g5, but Praggnanandhaa does not comment on this move in his annotations. b3 from Liang and a5. Here Praggnanandhaa writes that he wants to improve his bishop on b7 with that a5 move, followed by bishop a6 and b4. That was his plan. Queen h5, lashed out by Awonder Liang. Attacking the bishop, So f6 was played, g3 with the threat f4, you would say, forking two pieces. But now Praggnanandhaa plays a great move. He plays the bishop to c8. Of course his plan was to play bishop a6 and b4 as said, but now that white is getting active on the king side, he changed his plan. He had to change his plan. Bishop c8 is a great move. And he calls this himself a good intermediate move aimed at white's king side. If white would have now gone for winning a piece, the position would be very unclear, according to Praggnanandhaa. f4 looks logical, forking those two pieces, but this is the variation that Praggnanandhaa gives. Bishop takes f4, g takes f4, knight takes f4, and then that is attacking the queen, so queen f5, then there is knight takes h3, and that knight is protected that way. It's check, king h1, and queen f7 attacking the queen, and this is good for black, according to Praggnanandhaa, and the engine agrees. So let's go back. We played f4, bishop takes f4, g takes f4, knight takes f4, and then you can also play queen h4. Then Praggnanandhaa's variation goes as follows: g5, attacking the queen again, queen g3, knight h5, again chasing the queen, queen f2, and queen takes h3. And white's king has no pawn protection left, and it's understandable that white did not want to go for this line. He's a piece up for two pawns, but it looks dangerous for white. So all this was after bishop c8 and then f4, which was not played by Awonder Liang. He did not go for the piece win, he went knight f5. Praggnanandhaa took on c1, and Liang took back with the e-rook. Knight e7, and Praggnanandhaa writes that if Liang would have taken on e7 with check, queen takes f4, knight back to d7, he says this should be equal, but he thought black would have some counterplay on the queen side. And after the move from the game, black takes over, and the move from the game was knight back to e3. Praggnanandhaa played g6, kicking the queen, queen went to e2, and Praggnanandhaa took on h3. And here a big blunder from white. He played queen takes b5, he takes the material back, takes the pawn back, but that is the losing move, because there was bishop a6, queen b6, and Grandmaster Maurice Ashley says the queen is stuck with her hand in the cookie jar. The white queen has infiltrated in black's position, but it's not good. She's too vulnerable there. Praggnanandhaa writes that if the queen had gone to a4, then there would have been rook fb8, which is threatening bishop b5, winning the queen. Praggnanandhaa gives b4 and says after a takes b4, bishop e2, that black is also winning. You cannot save your queen. You cannot play something like queen b3 because you will get checkmated. Knight f3 check. And if you go with a king to h1, there is queen takes h2 checkmate. And if you take the knight, then there is bishop takes f3, and there will be a checkmate on h1. Of course not on g2, because that square is covered by the knight. So that was not playable. That was after queen to a4. So queen b6 was played by Awonder Liang. Then there was knight c8 attacking the queen. Queen takes a5. You cannot go to c7 with your queen because the queen will get lost. Rook a7, queen b8, and knight d7, and the queen is checkmated. But after queen takes a5, Praggnanandhaa played bishop e2. We already saw that variation, attacking the queen, and white resigned. He will either lose his queen or will be mated, starting with knight f3 check. Great win from young 12-year-old Praggnanandhaa Rameshbabu beating Grandmaster 14-year-old Awonder Liang, and it contributed to the overall victory of the rest of the world against the under 17 and under 14 US team. Both players are currently in November 2017 playing in the under 20 World Championships held in Italy. Of course, they could have played in a younger category, but are both so strong that they played in the highest category, the under 20s. If Praggnanandhaa becomes world champion, then he will be the youngest Grandmaster ever. That title is currently held by Sergei Karyakin, who was 12 years and 7 months old when he became Grandmaster. The winner of the under 20 World Championships gets the Grandmaster title automatically. That is a rule. So if Praggnanandhaa wins, he will become the youngest Grandmaster in history. Let's see how that tournament will develop. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel. Please leave a comment. And if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.